Welcome to this edition of Television Newsweek, and I'm Sharon Kembabazi to bring you these stories and so much more that spread out across the past week. In Parliament, MPs from the Acholi sub-region resurrected the call for to form a new country, the Nile Republic. The legislator was influenced by the unabated corruption in the office of the Prime Minister. That aside, the August House continued its probe into the power wrangles that have come to characterize the Kampala Capital City Authority. Now, on a note, Mzee Amos Kaguta, the father to President Yoweri Museveni, born after almost a month at International Hospital, Kampala. And many more in this report.
The August House, Uganda's second arm of government, was this week accused of squandering public money by doing less work, getting paid handsomely for it. An incensed Speaker, Right Honorable Alitwala Kadaga, on Tuesday threatened to withhold emoluments of legislators who had made it a habit to dodge House sittings. On the fateful day, some 247 MPs out of the total 75 signed the attendance register, but about 30 were in the chamber in the afternoon session. When Leader of Opposition Nathan Nandala and Ibrahim Semjo, the FDC charged Dondo East Member of Parliament, pointed out the debate could not continue without quorum. After ringing the bell for 15 minutes, more MPs trickled into the House but fell short of the quorum of 105. The following day, MPs defended their continued missing of Parliament proceedings. Some MPs pointed out that Parliament lacked clear guidance regarding organization of the order paper, leaving presentations to be made on the choice of the Speaker. The MPs said that this left many without making any presentations for long spells of time, turning the plenary sessions into routines to many.
We need to build consensus as a Parliament, not just the Speaker alone. How is plenary business conducted? If we want to get good practice, let's borrow the practice of Ghana, where every other day order paper has members of Parliament who are going to contribute.
Many members were in the lobby, others were concluding on the committee meetings, which are apparently very many.
It's not like a primary school, where when a pupil comes, he asks for permission before he leaves the school. And you can sign, sit for time, but then allocate time to other social obligations with the constituents.
Awol Ochan, the acting opposition chief whip, condemned the MP absence as disgrace to the institution of Parliament.
When the House is, it is live, and when the population of Uganda see that, it's a big shame on all of us.
The recording is supposed to be on camera and answered. So every member of Parliament should know, look and know, the registration even should stop in the book.
So, thinking plenary attendance figures indicate that the 9th Parliament is continuously in importance and vigor.
We cannot already go to the conclusion that the 9th Parliament is now a failure. It's not yet a failure. There could be just something small which is frustrating.
I think even the Speaker should take drastic steps verify the official signatures of individuals, signatures in the book, because we can't be an institution that is investigating corruption when we ourselves are doing corruption in that format.
The members of Parliament observed that their absence affected delivery.
Why is that when there are some other issue items on the floor of Parliament, you realize through, like when there are matters relating to health, to education, to poverty, alleviation, etc.
If it is passed, it can be challenged in court. And I know that in future, if there are laws that are being passed today without quorum, of course they will be challenged. We are seeing many new laws that are being brought to Parliament for the sake of individual interests.
Absenteeism in Parliament, that then the legislators cheat the tax. They get paid for no work done. That one is morally wrong. It is corrupt. It is unacceptable.
I think the Speaker also be able to answer and also find out why her members are not on some of these sessions when controversial issues are being passed.
Anybody keeps raising or drawing the attention of to the fact that there is no quorum, the speaker can proceed unless he or she decides to defy the rule.
In most cases, members know that their contribution is valued and regarded by the chair. Members will strive to be in the house. But when they realize that if contributions is not taken account of, or they don't have room to express their opinion, express their things, however much minority there might be, but they should have a good platform. As Parliament was struggling to rake in attendance numbers,
if fellow countrymen don't want to value us, this government doesn't value us, we shall break away. We shall go back to our country, public, use the resources which are there and develop ourselves.
Acholi caucus members of Parliament came out with a surprise that fetched mixed reactions. The MPs announced that they had embarked on a signature collection exercise to force secession from the Pearl of Africa. The new country will be Nile Republic in reference to the river Nile that flows at the West Nile border. They also contemplated on joining South Sudan. The legislators were asked by the unabated embezzlement of the Peace Recovery and Development Plan in Uganda PRDP funds by officials in the office of the Prime Minister.
We are gathering signatures to that effect. We're thinking about this, we are going to operationalize this.
Allow people to be
fountain of
land is the only resource, and we are going to stand very firmly.
Use both diplomatic means internationally. In 7 election, that time is up.
The proposal to secede in Uganda was first presented by the late Ken Tiberio Otwama, who proposed a Nile Republic for northern Uganda, but was vehemently opposed by the Constituent Assembly, including the then MPs from the area, including KCCA President Norbert Mao. Acholi MPs, who represent the largest of the intended beneficiaries in the PRDP, paid President Yoweri for giving away their land to Meta and Madivani groups to plant an act seen as ploy to steal their ancestors' land.
They are being forced to go Yaramoro. The government is grabbing land, giving 40,000 acres to Madivani. The moment Madivani takes our land, the day Museveni will leave is the day when all the equipment he will leave actually running.
I think President Museveni is the one to connect for land.
They cited the nodding disease syndrome that has affected thousands of children in the greater north as an example of government caring less about the...
We are being suffocated everywhere. The future of our children, they are waiting to die. Over 7,000 with nodding syndrome. As I speak.
The secession talk drew reaction from the Ugandan Federal Alliance. Former Lubaga North MP Betty Kamya. Kamya advised the group to join her in calling for a referendum to decide Uganda's federal fate.
From a problem, you face it and solve it. Running away from a problem, don't solve it. So if Buganda or Acholi secede, that will not solve the problem of Uganda. And you need a good neighbor.
To Article 255 of the 1995 Constitution, Parliament may make provisions for the right of citizens to demand the holding of a referendum, whether national or in any particular part of Uganda on any issue. Kamya revealed that her party's campaign, launched in Lira on the 6th of December 2012, to collect over 1.4 million signatures was bearing fruits.
They have already started. Look at this book. There are 1,000 books around the country. All these are signatures of Ugandans who want to change the federal system. It is not an easy house to build, but we have come over 100 years in building this project. We cannot break it.
Parliament continued to probe the power struggle at whole, away from the secession talk. The Parliamentary Committee on Local Government, investigating the mismanagement of KCCA, had an interaction dialogue with Lubaga South Member of Parliament John Ken Luchamzi, with parties exploring causes of the power struggles at KCCA. The committee, chaired by Igala West Member of Parliament Raphael Majez, is handled by the Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, seeking parliamentary intervention in the matter. Ken Luchamzi, the man, appeared before the committee in a capacity of politician and an MP representing the people of Lubaga South. He blamed the of KCCA on the ambiguities in the implementation of the KCCA Act enacted by the 8th Parliament. He said the law was passed with no quorum, only 25 members of Parliament present in the House.
In regard to this particular parameter of KCCA passed in the absence of a quorum, the laws are still there. Even if one went to court tomorrow, the matter is actionable and the Constitutional Court would sense that there was no quorum. The law called KCCA Act is unconstitutional, pursuant to the provision, to the relevant provision of the Constitution.
He said that he recognizes the Lord Mayor, not the Executive Director, since they do occupy places based on the law that was illegally enacted, and therefore they occupied places unconstitutionally.
The concern in law I have articulated is not there.
The former Speaker of Parliament and Vice President, His Excellency Edward Kiwanuka II, under whose vision the law was passed, however, laughed off Ruchamzi's claims.
When I do, my conscience guides me. Nothing else, and my knowledge of the law.
He advised the committee to ask government in the act to free the authority from the present confusion.
The mafia have no power. This one has power. She acts with some power, drawn from that period. And you know, sometimes the people believe in her. But according to the paper I presented, I think I have wrapped her. I don't see any power that glorifies her and our actions.
The law is clear. For members of Parliament to pass a bill, they are supposed to be 125, a third. This time, they were only 25. So that itself, it shows that really there is a problem. This raises the question of quorum. It raises the question of legality. It raises a very serious issue.
More in Parliament has wrote to the Speaker of Parliament lobbying to table a private member's wage bill which has been neglected by the central government. The trio requested Parliament to get more time for advocacy. Workers MP Anita is spearheading the bill.
We think it's high time that we should have a minimum wage fixed. And according to our research, we thought it is very easy to have a minimum wage on sectoral grounds.
The parliamentarians noted that being a free market economy, where forces of demand influence the market, were left susceptible to various skeletal payments, as in most cases, supply surpasses demand.
The law that was passed, this Minimum Advisory Board Act, that was passed in 1957, is for sure cake. It's no longer relevant. Look at how many people were employed by then. People are employed.
They said the bill will look at the sectors separately, into account different circumstances of employment.
Media should have its own minimum wage. Households should have their minimum wage. Sugarcane cutters should have their minimum wage set by a representative board of minimum wages.
Rwakajala was optimistic that his efforts will be supported by legislators on the floor of Parliament.
And actually, so far, we think we have 1% of the support of this bill. So they are supporting it. Those who are employed, who are enjoying exploitation, we shall defeat them on the floor of Parliament.
Employers have been resisting the introduction of a minimum wage legislation, saying it is unfair to force private companies into paying particular amounts to workers, claims contested by trade unions. The Parliamentary Parliament's Committee continued to probe the theft of 30,000 government goats. The Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Vincent Rubalema, and Sembeguya, the Managing Director of Sembeguya Estates Limited, failing to the missing goats. The goat breeding project was initiated by President Yoweri, but collapsed at the hands of the Ministry of Agriculture and Sembeguya Limited, who, having failed to account for the missing animals, claimed never multiplied.
The ministry would not account for the 25 goats the government stocked on the government in Zimbabwe.
Mr. Sembeguya, who was assigned by the president of the project, also appeared before the committee and told the lawmakers that the delivered but cannot give out their offsprings without compensation. He said it is now 5 years since the president promised payment of 7 million Ugandan shillings, but only 800 million shillings was given to him by the Ministry of Agriculture. He says that for all these years, he has been using money to look after the animals and can't just surrender the offsprings. He is now demanding over 12 billion shillings from government.
There is due consideration, there is due involvement of all stakeholders in the project conception, design and implementation. Short of Ugandans shall end up always on the losing side.
Government to breed goats in Zimbabwe so that we would breed the local breed and the exotic breed to come up with a breed that is fit for Uganda. So a stock farm was formed in Zimbabwe. It was stocked with 3,025 goats.
Under the memorandum of signed by the President of the Republic of Uganda and Sembega Estates Limited, the estate was required to supply 150 male and 200 female exotic goats using its own funds and 54,000 improved Mubende goats in government funding, but some of the goats were not supplied. The presidential project received more than 878.6 million from Uganda in the financial year 2004-2005 for infrastructure development and purchase of the first lot of goats, but only 3,023 Mubende goats were procured and were not distributed to the farmers due to insufficient funds.
Contractual agreements and the memoranda can be signed prospectively. That one opens room and window for abuse, and it is rather better that matters of importance are handled carefully.
The goats were meant for implementation of a pilot breeding project for strategic export under President Yoweri Museveni's poverty reduction program in Zimbabwe district, meant to benefit more than 100 years. As the MPs were grilling the public servants on their conduct, that they were not angels after all.
You get problems with where you are.
One of their own, Dwampara County Member of Parliament, Kyamadidi, lashed with the long arm of the law when his driver was arrested for drink driving, only for the drunken legislator to confront the men in
you have to know my hand. I'll give you a slap and shoot me. The gun, shoot me now. I give you the capacity to shoot me. Shoot me. I want to die. I now want to die.
Kyamadidi's conduct will attract attention from police, the public and fellow legislators.
Done every embarrassment. Shoot me. That one. No, I just want to die. Shoot me. Let everybody shoot me. I'm going to put you on handcuffs. Yeah. Now let him shoot me. You are becoming a nuisance and put you on. Okay, you put me wherever you want.
Going to inform the Inspector General of Police, will inform the Speaker, and the Honourable Member of Parliament must be produced to police to explain why he had to assault our officers doing their duties. I am not going to accept the behavior of such honourable, like that honourable Didi, who does not respect the enforcer.
We encourage members to remain disciplined both when they are within the parliament and outside the parliament, because we are representatives of the people and also promote a very positive image.
Appeal to members of parliament is during time hire a driver. Get a driver who is by and waiting for you to drive you off home.
I appeal those legislators to respect themselves and respect the institution and respect their social status.
These securities have not respected our being honorable. So there could have been some kind of disrespect from the officer. I'm not well versed with what happened, but I think it has also happened to me at one time when I was not respected by a policeman.
You must respect police to do its role and duties.
I am saying you have no right of moving anywhere. You are, sir. Thank you.
I, Nebanda Florence, swear in the name of the Almighty God.
And to crown the House in Parliament, the August House is one member more after the swearing Florence Andelu Nebanda to replace her sister Serena Nebanda as a member of Parliament.
And that I will preserve, protect, constitution, so help me God.
Of procedure, which I advise you to learn very, very quickly to help in your a diary so that you can plan your activities. Order members.
Wait and watch. NEBANDA is here in hand to pop up corruption in the government. It's accomplished most of the projects the late had started, and I'll also include some other own projects. Those other projects include women projects, Bibina, and the youth, and also ask the government to assist us in developmental projects in Taleja. In agriculture, I'm here to represent them, and I work hand in hand with Unity Inclusive, and also other people from other parties. I'm willing to work for the betterment of Taleja district.
Away from Makerere University once again involved in another strike, challenging the university's 60% tuition policy. But the university administration insisted that the policy is not new. It was passed by the University Council in 2006-2007 academic year and was just being enforced more rigorously. The council is the supreme governing and top policy-making organ of the university.
What is happening right now, the university management, headed by the Vice-Chancellor, Professor John Dumba Sentamu, are right now holding a consultative meeting to resolve the issues, and a statement will come out by 4 p.m. today.
Vice-Chancellor Professor Dumba Sentamu said the policy had been because the university had urgent financial needs like paying lecturers, paying utility bills including water and electricity that had to be got from generated revenue. The students who battled police for the better part of the day in and around the campus expressed dissatisfaction with the new policy. It does not favor the low-income earners where most of the private students fall.
Today, I come as an activist, as a student leader in Makerere. I don't support the issue of 60%.
You don't know whether Makerere is becoming a university of the rich and the poor are going back to the villages.
The students became rowdy. Police used tear gas to disperse them. The students had spent most of the morning mobilizing for the strike.
We have deployed. We are watching them. It's a mistake to damage any property here. We shall immediately pick them.
Police kept patrolling the university even after they calmed the situation. Over 24 students, including controversial Makerere University Councillor were arrested.
My being here for me, I have no problem, but the students are going to demand for their release, and it may cause other consequences.
After witnessing failure in their plans, the students moved to B. They asked government to expedite the implementation of the long-awaited student loan scheme as the best way to save them from the persistent fees changes. But if government does not show a firm commitment to set up the students would take on the university again.
Instead of seeing a policy that is not welcome to students, you ally with the students, convince Mr. Government, implement the students' loan scheme.
You need to help us.
Democratic Party President Norbert Mao visited Chira Police Station and Wendegea Police Station to check on the students that were arrested during the strike. Those arrested were detained in Kawempe, Wendegea Road Police Stations.
I can't read out that this place, those things that have it has politics in it because the government started the politics. That means to me that it is motivated.
Commander Special Operations Kampala Metropolitan Sam Omar said that the students will be produced in court in 48 hours for inciting violence and destroying property.
We are taking these boys to and the court as an example, as a case.
Omala said that one of the complainants was the director of Makerere Business whose car windscreen was smashed by rowdy students.
Like they were saying, head of Vice Chancellor. At night, Children started rioting, putting campfiring. We can't stand this.
From courts of law, the interdicted principal accountant in the office of Minister Geoffrey KAZINDA lost a court petition challenging his rearrest in the anti-corruption court. KAZINDA had asked the Constitutional Court to unconditionally and also block his trial to enjoy the bail earlier granted him. The ruling was read by Elias Kisauzi, the registrar at the Constitutional Court, on behalf of Justices Stephen Kavuma, A.S. Nshimi, and Remi Kasule. The interdicted principal accountant at the Prime Minister Geoffrey KAZINDA appeared at the Constitutional Court with his lawyer Ambrose Tibiasa for the final ruling on the petition challenging his trial at the Corruption Court and his rearrest. In the petition, he had that his detention was not fair because he was detained for more than 48 hours without being taken to court.
All in all, we find that the applicant has not made out case to be granted the relief he seeks in the application. We dismiss the same with the respondent.
The petition further stated that he had been denied bail, though he was sick, and also continued to try even when his health was not good. Also clearly stated that the DPP held him guilty alone, yet there were others, and that the state agents had not obeyed orders by the magistrate at the Uganda court for his bail, and therefore they should pay him for the damages incurred. The Constitutional Court threw out this petition, directing that he pays costs to the government. According to KAZINDA's petition, the Director of Public Prosecution and faulted when they rearrested him, yet the Anti-Corruption Court had granted bail. KAZINDA was rearrested at Case Clinic where he had gone to seek medical. More from court. Anti-Corruption Court that interdicted permanent secretary in the local government minister John Kashaka Muhanguzi the case to answer. The state finished its submissions pinning Muhanguzi Kashaka for abuse of office and causing financial loss of over 4.5 billion shillings to government. The last witness for the state was Mr. Musuma, who worked as the head of quality control in the Bank of Uganda, clarified that the solicitation documents were not in conformity with the LCT. He also showed that the dispatch note of bicycles, the invoice and bill of landing were showing the destination of Kampala, Uganda, instead of vehicles and parishes. John Kashaka is charged with cases of illegal solicitation documents of bidders for procurement of over 70,000 bicycles, advising bidders to ignore technical specifications without reference to the committee as required by law and procurement procedures. Charged together with Bamtula Henry, Mwebaze Robert, Sam Emoro Ngot, Mshere Timothy, and Aroma B. Adam. According to his lawyer, their defense will heavily rely on the prosecution presentations, especially the witnesses fronted. The case has been adjourned to 19th and 20th March 2013. On a sad note, the country woke to the sad news on that President Yoweri Museveni's father Mzee Amos Kaguta had passed at the privately run International Hospital, Kampala. According to the press, his 97-year-old father had been sick for a month with stomach complications. President Museveni is known to be the eldest of the late Amos Kaguta, his late first wife Estelle Kokunde Kanganzi. Eulogy continued and sympathies sent to the president on the death of his father Amos Kaguta. In a brief message, President Yoweri Museveni said his father was 97 years old and had been sick for some time. According to the message that was also on the State House Facebook page, Mzee Amos Kaguta passed away on Friday at exactly 7 a.m. after being ill for some time. President Museveni, who issued the message from his country home in Rwachitula, Chirhura district, Kaguta was a pioneer in educating children, which was not popular with Ugandan groups in the 1950s. The president's father was admitted to International Hospital Kampala IHK since early this month, reported stomach complications. The deceased was known to live a quiet life, far pleasures that come from having a son at State House. State House also raised a statement confirming the death of President Yoweri Museveni's father, saying that his family most sincerely thanks all doctors who cared for Mzee Kaguta in his last moments, adding that burial arrangements would be announced later. State House asked the media to respect the family's privacy in their bereavement. For NBS Newsweek, I'm Jordan Muhangizi.
Be sure to tune in to NBS Television for all the latest updates, but in the meantime, allow me to wish you a prosperous week. I'm Sharon Kembamazi. Bye-bye.